Alrighty, last night's dream. Had a hard time getting to sleep last night for some reason. But I have this constant dream that I can kind of float. I can kind of push myself off the ground and slowly float up into the air. A lot of times it'll be like 100 feet. It's not very fast, but I can float. But there were these, wait a minute, before the floating dream, there were these hockey players. And these hockey players were they're really cocky. And there was only, there's only 3 or 4 of them that they wanted to kick, they really wanted to kick some people's ass. And I said something and, about them being too cocky, and they wanted to take me out and just kind of beat the hell out of me. And I was able to float up and escape. And my floating/flying was going to be used for the good of mankind somehow. I don't know how. But as I was floating, I was seeing these kids. They had the ability, or they had these tools that they were taking these like bolts, and they were using some kind of a hand tool, and that the bolt would go up to these transformers, these power line poles, and they would screw on by themselves. They would just kind of, the nuts, they would have these like wands or some kind of remote devices, and the nuts would go up to the transformers and they would screw on by themselves. And as I was floating by, I was like, wow, that's really cool. That's neat technology. I don't know why they've got kids doing this. Well, all of a sudden, I had this government agency that was trying to take away my flying ability. And it was like they had conspired a lot of humanity to try to catch me. And I was hiding, and slowly I was kind of like, they were bringing me down, and I couldn't float anymore. It was sort of like the Santa Claus the Elf movie, where there wasn't enough Christmas spirit and Santa Claus couldn't fly the sleigh. But it was causing me to come down, and I was hiding behind these bushes. And there was a lady in a school bus, and she was part of the team to try to find me. They found me, and they brought me into this laboratory, and they stuck me with a needle. And they were going to remove this ability for me to float. And there was one man that was given this, he was like given this gas, like when you go to sleep in hospital anesthesia or whatever. But his head was contorting, and he was sitting away from me, and his back was to me, but his head would come back, and it was really contorted, and his face would do all kinds of wild, crazy things. And this was part of the process to get rid of the flying ability for me. And I started praying, and I was praying in tongues. And one of the assistants said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm praying in tongues to try to help this man, this doctor, because he's really weird. He's like on a trip or something." And then suddenly I was taken like home or to this apartment where an aunt was there and my parents were there, and it was kind of weird because I don't remember ever seeing this little townhouse before. I guess I had to pee because the dream was then about me having to go to the bathroom. I had to find a bathroom. And that's usually what happens in the early morning when I have to go to the bathroom. So I woke up and recorded the dream. Totally weird.